Well, it's another Wednesday night here in Fort Collins, Colorado, in Old Town Fort Collins. No better place to be when you want to talk Colorado State Ram football. And, of course, that's what we do every Wednesday night here from the Beach House Grill from 6:30 to 7:30. We talk with the head coach of the Colorado State Rams, Coach Steve Fairchild. This week on the program, we'll take a short look back at the game from this past weekend. Rams went into Salt Lake City to take on a nationally ranked top 10 team in the Utah Utes, and Utah would knock off Colorado State in that contest. Colorado State played fairly well in that first half. Things might have gotten away from them a little bit in the second half, but we'll talk about that contest from Salt Lake City with the coach Steve Fairchild, and then of course we'll turn our attention to the upcoming game here this week as the Rams will get the Lobos of New Mexico. That'll be a 4 p.m. kickoff out at Sonny Lubick Field at Hughes Stadium. We'll go on the air with our tailgate show at 2 o'clock, and then 4:06 will be the kickoff. And it's Rams Legends Weekend. We're going to have just about 200 former football players back for a tailgate before the game. They'll be roaming around the stadium, have a bunch of former Colorado State Ram coaches back to take in the contest as well. So it should be just a splendid afternoon at Sonny Lubick Field at Hughes Stadium to see the Rams and the Lobos. And it's a Colorado State team that'll go into that game at 2-6 overall. They are 1-3 in the Mountain West Conference. And a piece of good news is they are back on their home field. Colorado State has played well at home so far here this year. Of course, the last time the Rams suited up at Hughes Stadium, they blasted UNLV 43-10. Meanwhile, it's a New Mexico team. They're coming in at 0-7 on the season. They're 0-3 in the Mountain West, and they're coming off a loss at home to San Diego State. They would lose that one by a score of 30-20. We'll also be joined by Dan Hammersmith, wide receivers coach and passing game coordinator at Colorado State. He'll join us a little bit later on in the program. Of course, Dan's a name that folks around these parts are very familiar with. And then Lou Greenwood, the sophomore wide receiver, also will join us coming up later on in the program. All that and much, much more coming up here in the next hour. It's the Coors Light Steve Fairchild Coaches Show. Let's take a time out from Delegan Sports, the Colorado State Sports Network. All right, just getting the show kicked off here tonight. Old Town Fort Collins, the Coors Light Steve Fairchild Coaches Show. Brian Roth with you. Happy to be joined by Coach Fairchild. Steve, looking back at last week, I promise we're not going to spend too much time on the Utah game, but that was a good Utah football team, and I know you guys knew that going into the game.
Yeah, they were very talented. Like we talked about last week, I think they're a program that does not have a real weakness. When you looked at the matchups and you try to find an area where maybe they weren't that strong, it was hard to find it with the University of Utah football team. You know, they're ranked 8th or whatever they're ranked, and very deserving. I like the way we kind of slugged it out there in the first half a little bit with them. We didn't get out physical by any sense of the imagination. I thought both lines played pretty good. We weren't playing very smart. You know, defensively we had some really inopportunistic penalties kind of that extended their drives and so forth. And then we got the ball in the red zone and ended up kicking field goals, which against a good team is going to get you beat on the road.
Yeah, that was a golden opportunity for you guys. It's a 7-0 game in the first quarter, and we talked so much about Shaky Smithson as a return guy for Utah last week. And first time you kicked to him, he coughs at the ball. You guys go 1st and 10 on the 16 and had to settle for 3.
Yeah, ended up getting a field goal. Actually, we mounted in the first half. We had a couple 3 drives where we got down there in the red zone, just couldn't get the ball in the end zone. But we did, the return guy they had, much like TCU, was able to change a game, and for the second time in a row when we played a player that is that dynamic in the return game, we bottled him up. You know, we punted to him 5 times. He did not return 1, so it kind of tells you how Pete Kondodiakis was kicking the ball. You know, we were getting height and getting good coverage, and didn't let him get loose on any returns.
Yeah, we'd never like giving our player of the game to a punter. We did it in the post game on Saturday, but he really was outstanding.
You know, you think about it, he averaged 46 yards, which is really putting some leg on the ball. But more importantly was the hang time and the way our coverage team was getting down there. So, again, 5 times, and that kid never returned a punt.
Yeah, and in fact, that first punt in which he fumbled, I think there was a 57-yarder. It was all in the air. And I think the reason why Smithson fumbled is because he was still kind of backtracking, trying to catch that football.
You know, that's something he can do. You know, every once in a while he hits one, square, and he has a big leg, and it kind of catches guys off guard.
Yeah. How about some other positives from that first half? Again, 24 24-6. They scored one late in that first half, so it was really 17-6 for a lot of that second quarter. What were some of the positives that you saw?
Well, again, I thought from a physical standpoint, just both lines not getting knocked around. I was looking for a couple things right at the bat. Was how physical could we play, and how did we compete? And both those things, I kind of liked what our football team was doing. We weren't, like I said, we weren't playing smart, and we weren't cashing in when we had to, but things could have been a lot worse. But then we let it get away from us in the second half. They got some big plays over the top of us that we can't let happen. We turn the ball over, and when you do that, like I said, against a good team, they're going to put you away. 2
of their 3 touchdowns in that first half, they came on third downs, and I think they were third and longs. You guys were coming off blitzes, and they just caught you.
They got us on that 1 3rd and 7, and we had inside technique, and they still got a slant route on us. And he's a good quarterback and good receiver, but some of those plays you'd like to think we would make. We had our guys in pretty good position to make those plays. The flea flicker in the first half, we're in cover 2. You couldn't have been in a better call, but we hesitated, and they threw it up, and the guy made the play to get him down there for another score. So it's all part of a learning process. There are some young kids, and going into an environment like that and playing a top 10 team is good for them.
Again, it was 24-6 after the first half. You guys get the opening kick there in that second half, and you guys go 3 and out. And I know Pete got hit with a blitz from that cornerback and didn't see him coming, but you guys knew they liked to bring the cornerback up the edge.
It was actually a breakdown protection-wise, and Zach Paga saw it, but obviously something else came free, and he had to pick that up first. So Zach's doing a tremendous job. He's having a great senior year, and real reliable guy back there, not only run blocking but pass blocking. But and then there was another incident right there early in the third quarter where a guy kind of beats Paul Madsen around the corner, but really Paul did a nice job. A lot of that was our quarterback setting up a little deep, so it's just little things. But when you play against a good team and they can turn the corner like that, the little things get exposed, and that's what happened to us.
Yeah, and the play you just mentioned, I believe he got a piece of Pete's arm and a ball loose in the turf.
Yeah, ball comes out. But, again, Pete's got to work the pocket a little bit better. He's got to kind of be a little more subtle in his movement back there. And, when you start getting back to 9.5, 10 yards deep on a drop-back pass against a good edge pass rusher, you're asking too much of your offensive tackle.
That second half, Steve, did you see the effort out of your team that you were looking for?
I did, and I thought we were a little overwhelmed there at times, and then towards the end in the fourth quarter, both of us were substituting pretty freely there. We had a chance, late in that game to get a lot of people a chance to go in and play that hadn't played much this season, so that part was good.
Yeah, I know sometimes that it's only human nature, especially with college kids. When things aren't going your way in a game like that in the second half, you kind of start feeling sorry for yourself. Did you see any of that with the players?
I don't think we were feeling sorry for ourselves. I think we realized that was a pretty good football team, and we weren't playing well enough that night to make it a game, but like I said, then later on you start mixing in some guys in the lineup, and it can get a little sloppy, but it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I thought Utah was good. I know one of the knocks against them coming in was their schedule. Right? They hadn't played a great schedule, but you know what? Utah played the hand that was dealt them, and they took care of business. How do you see Utah?
I think when you start analyzing schedules, it's silly to do it. We all do it when our schedule comes out in April, and we look at it and say this one's going to be hard, this one's not going to be as hard. But when you look back at what they've done, they beat Pitt, who's leading the Big East right now, and then they just hammered Iowa State at Iowa State. I think they scored 68 points, and then you look what Iowa State did last week. They went down and beat Texas at Texas. So I don't think you can really truly analyze anyone's schedule until the whole season's played out, and then you step back and look at what each team's done, and you'd have a little more accurate picture of how tough your schedule was at that point.
Well, I wanted to ask you, you have seen Air Force, you have seen TCU, you have seen Utah. Now, those look like the 3 contenders, and really it's kind of TCU and Utah at this particular point.
I think when TCU and Utah play, it's been a tremendous game the last 2 years. I would anticipate it being another tremendous game. It's hard to say who's better. There's still some time, and with injuries and where it's played and so forth, that'll have a lot to do with the impact of the game, or the outcome of the game. But they're both very, very good teams, both very deserving of high rankings.
Again, Utah going to go to Air Force, and then 2 weeks they're going to get TCU. As for the Rams, they're going to get back at home, friendly confines of Hughes Stadium, to take on the New Mexico Lobos. We'll talk about that game and much more as the Coors Light Steve Fairchild Coaches Show continues here tonight, live in Old Town Fort Collins at the Beach House Grill. From Delegate Sports, Colorado State Sports Network. Back here live at Old Town Fort Collins at the Beach House Grill, the Coors Light Steve Fairchild Coaches Show here on the Colorado State Sports Network. I mentioned the Rams taking on New Mexico coming up this Saturday. October 30th, it's a Pepsi 4-pack day. You get 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, and 4 sodas for only $80. Orders must be placed by October 29th. That's this Friday. It's the Rams and the Lobos coming up October 30th. Kickoff is at 4. Call 1-800-491-RAMS or visit the all-new CSURams.com for tickets. Steve Fairchild joining us here in the program. Steve, let's put that Utah game in the back burner, take a look ahead. And well, you guys are back at home, and I know for your young football team here this year, that has been a place where they have played well. Well,
I think every football team likes to play at home, but we're especially excited here at Colorado State. It's a great environment. I know that student section fills up. Just a couple weeks ago we had over 30,000 in there, and I know our kids feed off that. It's just been great to play there. And, again, scheduling is very, very important. I know Paul Kowalczyk knows that, and I know we're looking to have as many home games as we can every year.
Yeah, it obviously goes without saying all teams, for the most part, play well at home. Is there a comfort level that helps with that, you think?
I don't know. Probably with a young football team like we have, but you look at the good football teams, they can win on the road, and obviously the road to a conference championship not only is winning on the road, but winning a big game, a tough game on the road, and we're going to have to learn how to do that.
Well, you get a New Mexico team that comes in at 0-7. They've been struggling again here this year. They beat you, though, last year. It was their one win, and I know it was a game that you guys kind of handed to you. You gave it away. I know it's one that you like back. Did you go back and watch that film?
Well, you just get sick when you go back and watch the film. You're up late and have the ball and you're driving in and just can't put it away. So I know we just felt terrible. That's just the way our season was going last year. But, again, like I said, in 08, we weren't that much different of a team. But when we had those one-touchdown games, we found a way to close them out and win them, and we couldn't do that last year. So this year we're showing signs. The Idaho game was interesting that we were able to hang in there, compete, and make a play at the end to win it. And I'm sure this game Saturday will be no different.
Yeah, you guys have been pretty good in close games. You haven't had a ton of them, but the Idaho game was one of them where you guys proved that you can win close games. With the way that last year went at New Mexico, is there any extra motivation with your ball club, or is that in the past?
It's in the past. Every team's different, and we're interested in winning every game, and looking at what happened here, that's not important. We try to focus on the here and now, get ready with our game week routine, and concentrate on this opponent, which is obviously different than the New Mexico team last year.
Yeah, Mike Loxley took over for Rocky Long, who had a ton of success down there, rebuilding that program. Kind of the same situation that you were in here. Do you look at Mike and say, listen, I know exactly what you're going through?
Well, we have had, you get a chance to interact with those guys at some league meetings a couple times, during the year, the Mountain West Media Days in the summer, and we do talk a little bit about it. I don't think you share any intimate secrets about your program, but you do talk about how you run things, what your plan is, what your vision is, and how you're going to go about trying to get it done. And Mike's got a big task down there, replacing Rocky Long, who did such a tremendous job, and they've obviously got to get recruiting and work his plan to have any chance for success.
Yeah, now that Rocky Long's gone, and of course he has that kind of exotic defense. The defensive scheme Mike Loxley's own and his staffs, or do they use some principles?
It's different than what Rocky did on both sides of the ball. Mike came in and hired his coordinators and implemented the scheme that he thinks is best and the one that he's comfortable with. So they're not similar in any way, shape, or form to the Rocky Long New Mexico teams.
All right, we'll talk more about the Lobos coming up next as we continue tonight on the Coors Light Steve Fairchild Coaches Show from Old Town Fort Collins. From Delegate Sports, Colorado State Sports Network. State Coors Light Steve Fairchild Coaches Show here on a Wednesday night in Old Town Fort Collins. Happy to have everybody aboard with us here on a chilly Wednesday evening. Boy, you can tell we're almost into November. I was out at the practice there today, Steve, and boy, the wind's whipping, temperatures in the mid-40s, and all of a sudden it's getting to be that fall weather.
Yeah, it's good for us. We've had such great weather. I think it's time we practice in something not perfect, because on the horizon here there's going to be a game with some sort of weather in it, so we got to learn how to go out and concentrate in less than perfect environment, which we've been having to do the last couple of days.
Yeah, in the future we're probably going to see that, but I don't think the future is going to be Saturday.
No, I say the weather's supposed to be
72?
Nice. Yeah, so another great day. Hopefully that'll be another great crowd, and we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, without question. New Mexico coming in, 4 p.m. kickoff from Hughes Stadium coming up on Saturday. Give me your thoughts on these Lobos, because it looks like they're improving. And I went back and watched some of that game against San Diego State. They would lose 30-20, but they were in that game in the third quarter.
That was an awfully close game, and that could have gone either way. And San Diego State right now is a team that's getting votes for the top 25, and here you got New Mexico playing them toe to toe. So. Like you said, they beat us last year. They've got some explosiveness on offense. They've got a dual threat quarterback, which always concerns you. And defensively, they seem to be getting better every week. So we're going to have to play an outstanding game to give ourselves any chance.
Again, the Lobos were within 7 in that game. In that third quarter, 20-13, they would lose that contest in the end down in Albuquerque, 30-20. Well, let's give out that telephone number if any of the Ram fans want to hop on board with the coach, Steve Fairchild, 1-866-702-7691. Again, that phone number, 866-702-7691. We also have the in-house mic here for any of the fans that want to ask the coach a question. I see some young lady down here already eyeing that.
Let's not encourage anybody here. So.
All right, let's go to the phone lines, and let's bring in Eric. Eric, welcome to the Steve Fairchild Coaches Show.
Hey, thank you very much. Hey, Coach, I know last week was a tough game, but now you've got all your running backs back. What do you do this week against New Mexico, and how do you start to spread the offense with them?
Well, we got everybody back. It's really good to have Raymond Carter back, because he brings that big play capability, and he's had a nice couple days of practice, so he'll be ready to go. Chris Wokey, we really like. Leonard Mason, I disciplined at the Utah game, obviously, for the being late to a team meeting, and therefore, he didn't play, but he'll be back. And John Mosier's solid, so we've got everybody back. We'll base it on our game plan and how we do this week. How we've practiced, and going into tomorrow, we'll kind of design how we're going to do it. I would anticipate all those backs will have a chance to play.
Are they all pretty excited about the competition on a weekly basis?
Yeah,
do they ever get frustrated
I think
with that,
so. I think anybody would like to be the back. There's no question. But it's like naming a starting quarterback. You've got to earn it. And Raymond earned it coming out of the summer, and then he got hurt. But he was starting to show some real flashes there against Idaho and Air Force and the games that he played. And then actually he didn't play in the Air Force game, the Idaho game, and then Leonard took over and had a couple 100-yard games, but then he had a little hitch in his plan, so we went with Chris last week. And I really think Chris is going to be a talented back, so we'll just let it play out. And when one guy, like our first year, we thought with Kyle Bell and Gartrell that we would split it, but Gartrell took over, and when somebody does that, then they'll be our feature back.
That's cool. That's great. That's great, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
All right, thanks, Eric.
Thank you for the phone call, Eric. Appreciate that. 1-866-702-7691. 866-702-7691. Raymond Carter, as we talk a little bit on the injury front here, coming back from that knee sprain, do you have to ease him in, or if he's running well, do you give him 20 carries?
If he's running well, he'll get the ball. We've eased him in practice. Last week he was doing some things. He wasn't necessarily getting contact and a whole bunch of change of direction, but he was running full speed and doing some things, and he looked good. So we knew coming into this week that he would have a real chance, and he's had 2 tremendous days of practice, so he's back full strength, ready to roll. And Leonard's back on board. Like I said, Chris Wokey's getting better every week. John Mosier's solid, so we'll just see how this thing plays out.
Yeah, and one thing we noticed with Chris Wokey on Saturday in Utah, I don't have my stats in front of me. I think he had 8 catches, so he's a capable receiver.
Yeah, he kind of gives us an element that Raymond does coming out of the backfield. And another guy that I should mention, because he does well every time we put him in there, is Derek Good. And Derek's a very talented young man. I don't want to forget about him.
Well, he had the fumble recovery, too, on the, on the punt.
Well, he's not just a return guy on special teams. If you really come in with sit down with Larry Lewis and watch our special teams tape, he's covering kickoffs and punts, making plays like the fumble recovery you're talking about. He's very, very valuable to us, doing a very nice job this year.
Broderick Sargent, your defensive end, sustained a slight concussion against UNLV. Didn't play last week. What's his status?
Well, he's ready to go, and you know, Terry said Broderick could have played last week in a pinch. So you know, we had the other guys in there rolling and doing a nice job. So we chose not to play him, but he'll be back. You know, TJ Borky looks like he's going to be close. Mike Kowalik, you know, is in a red jersey right now, but he's going to be close to playing. So really, for this time of year, we're in pretty good shape. Yeah,
I noticed Kowalik. I don't remember him being hurt. Was that a practice thing? And what's his ailment?
You know, he's got a shoulder, but again, I think we'll be able to get him back here pretty quick.
All right, let's look at your injury report, brought to you by Poudre Valley Health System, proud to be an exclusive healthcare sponsor of Ram Athletics, and proud to state that when you need medical care, they're here for you. For more information, visit pvhs.org. More of the Steve Fairchild Coaches Show coming up after this. We're live at Old Town Fort Collins from Elegant Sports at the Colorado State Sports Network.